The last time Emerald, Fennell, and I were together was at dinner in the River Cafe. As we lived near to each other, we shared a ride home. Emerald is a great filmmaker. How about winning a Best Screenplay Oscar for Promising Young Woman, her first movie? Amazing. How about writing and directing her own movies? And how about acting in Call the Midwife, The Crown, and Barbie? On this Valentine's Day, we're going to have the next Emerald film, her adaptation of Wuthering Heights. Already, everybody's talking about it, and personally, I am counting the minutes until seeing it. Right now, though, we're here to talk together about films and food and family. And on a grey January day, Emerald is the ray of sunshine we all need. Me, most of all.
Thank you.
Why Wuthering Heights?
Because I love it. I think it just connects with you. It connects with the people who love Wuthering Heights and particularly love Emily Bronte.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult material in every way. Not just the kind of content, and not just its sort of refusal to take a moral position, and not just the fact that it's troubling, but just the kind of her writing is very complicated, dense, and beautiful and poetic. She really requires active reading. You need to be dedicated and persistent, and you need to be kind of obsessive and fanatical, I think, to like her work. I think that's why I love it so much, is that there have been so many adaptations, I think, of Wuthering Heights, and so many of them are so beautiful. I love Andrea Arnold's film.
Yeah.
I think it's so beautiful, it's so powerful, and I love the Laurence Olivier version, of course.
Yeah.
But they're all really good because they're all different, because there's so much to say. I love Balthus's illustrations, and I love Kate Bush's songs, and I love the kind of tertiary material around it too, because she sort of inspires people to do interesting things because the book's so slippery. I knew I wanted to make it one day if I dared. Yeah. Because it is an undertaking. It's very personal to people. In Saltburn, spoiler alert, there's a sort of scene by a graveside in Saltburn that is sort of inspired by Wuthering Heights. And after Saltburn, and because people had liked it, and that's just such a unique position to be in as a filmmaker, to be able to choose what you want to do, I knew that I wanted to make a kind of an old Hollywood soundstage movie, and I wanted it to be Wuthering Heights, and I knew that this was probably going to be the only time that anyone would let me do that. And I knew that I wanted to do something that would I like making people feel things. I like a physical response, but it's same with you. You're giving people a physical sensation, and that's what I feel that I like to do making movies, is that it's that, and there's nothing more physical than Wuthering Heights. I think it's just extremely visceral. It's extremely sexy. And this is what's interesting about it, is people argue that point. They argue rightly whether it is a love story or not. It makes you cry. It makes you recoil. It makes you uncomfortable. It makes you kind of question yourself. It makes you, it makes you disagree with people that you think you would normally agree with. I just love it. It's just been amazing to be able to do it. And also it just meant I got to read it 1,000 times, which was always fun.
Where did you film?
We filmed in Elstree Studios, so we built Wuthering Heights.
You did?
The surrounding area, and we built Thrushcross Grange and the surrounding area. Oh. I think for me, if you're looking at something Gothic, you need to build it from scratch, because it's an emotional landscape as much as a real one. And then we went to Yorkshire, obviously, and we went and filmed up there. We couldn't film anywhere but Yorkshire. That would just be kind of sacrilegious, but I wanted to make something that looked and felt the way that the book made me feel. Yeah. So it meant we were kind of looking at brutalism as much as we were looking at kind of the industrial north of the time. So we filmed in kind of disused mines rather than just the moors and the kind of like the sort of rot. We were looking for something quite sort of harsh. No, it was amazing.
Amazing. What about what you eat when you're working? Because I've interviewed people from Ridley Scott to Wes Anderson to Greta to Noah about the French hours, the idea that you just keep working and you don't eat because the annoyance of having to stop this rhythm, it just ruins the flow.
Well, it's also like, I think for lots of people, you're digesting. I mean, it's a kind of literal physical thing. I also do French hours because it's that balance, isn't it, where you want people to be able to get home and to see their families.
Yeah.
And to not be able to do that is just killer for everyone. To not have any kind of a life is really tough, especially if you've got young kids. But I always, we always try and make sure that the food is great. On Saltburn, we made kind of long tables. It was because the weather was so beautiful. So we had these long tables with, outside, and everyone eats together. I'm really fanatical about everyone eating together and all of that kind of stuff. But it was harder on this because you're in a studio and you can't quite. But I would love to know what the other directors eat, because I eat toasted cheese sandwiches.
Without giving a spoiler, is there a food scene?
Oh, there's so many food scenes. I'm obsessed with foods.
Well, you have a movie that has the word salt in it, so there you go.
Yes. And eggs. There are eggs in this new film. There are eggs, there's jelly.
Yeah.
But also, that's the thing about the Victorian that I'm kind of obsessed with, because this movie, it's set in the kind of late 18th century. But the food then was like everything. There's a kind of perversion of taking the natural and preserving it. So everything was in aspic, everything was pickled, everything looked alive but was dead.
Really?
So all the food is kind of designed to be, so we've got sort of crayfish fighting, it's taxidermy, it's flour pressing, it's, it was about containing the natural. It was about being frightened of the world, actually, in the natural world, and what that meant. And so that's such an important part of this movie too, is it's about what happens when you kind of constrain nature, and whether it's like a corset or it's putting a fish in jelly, it's the same thing, isn't it? It's the same instinct, because we don't do that now. We don't want our food to look like the thing that we're eating. It's sinister.
Did you have cooks who researched the food and made the food and
made
the
whole teams,
fantastic,
a whole department, and the food was just like. There's also a scene where Margot sticks her finger in a fish in a jelly inside the fish's mouth, and in order to get that shot, the consistency of the jelly, the clarity of the jelly, the type of fish. Amazing. We had fake fish with lipstick. We had fish with teeth. We had, the number of different prototypes, because but that's the fun of it. And everyone's just so thrilled that they're not just making bangers and mash or whatever it normally is, so we just have, oh god, it's bliss.
I was thinking that you and I actually work both in very collaborative ways.
Totally, it has to be. You need to be a benign dictator. So you can't be so inflexible that it cracks, that something breaks. You need to be able to bend but always be steady. And I think that's the most fun way of doing things. And all of the people that I work with are like that, If somebody comes to you with an idea, rather than be like, no, it's a kind of yes and. And I think the and could also be, it's a sort of substitute for a but.
Sure.
Because when you're in charge, you always want to be like, but you're trying to kind of preserve your little precious thing that you sort of thought of, but actually you've got to yes and, because otherwise it never goes anywhere and it stagnates and it just is a kind of little fossil that you've preserved. So you've got to let other people, especially, if you trust them and if they're geniuses, Jacqueline Duran did the costumes on Wuthering Heights and she's just extraordinary. And you're looking to entertain each other, you're looking to surprise each other, you're looking to provoke each other, you're looking to do something that interests and challenges both of you. So I think that's kind of the process of collaboration. But, also you're in that unique position as you are here, where you also have an overview. So you can't get too carried away. You can't go veering off too far. But my thing is always with filmmaking is, I want to push something into its very, very limits to see what that limit is and then pull back. So it's always an exercise in letting people be free to make something disgusting. You can't make anything interesting unless you're willing and unafraid to make something difficult and something unpalatable. I suppose maybe it works with food as well as it works with filmmaking. It's sort of...
You're taking a risk.
You're taking a risk. But the real risk, I think, is in being earnest, being cringe, doing something lame, doing something, whatever, it's like that we've got so much in our culture now that we've got the brakes being put on creatively, I think, all the time, because we're afraid of embarrassment, I think. So for me, I'm always like, I don't mind being embarrassing. I think being a human is kind of fundamentally fairly embarrassing. So I'm happy to say, like, look, you can't be embarrassed. I won't be embarrassed by anything that you do because I'm interested in stuff anyway. It's just a constant sort of rubbing up against the ghastly. That's kind of what interests me, and that's why the Gothic's interesting.
Yeah.
We all have extremely high standards. We're kind of fanatical about it. So, but like, I hope that the people who work with me know they can come to me with anything, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, let's talk about that at least. Yeah. And so that's really important. And then it's constant, and it's constantly, we do for the actors tons and tons of rehearsals, and I look at everything from the kind of surprising things emerge between characters that you wouldn't expect. Saltburn was so much like that. We found there was so much between Archie Medekwe, who played Farley, who's a genius, and Barry Keoghan in rehearsals, and I was just like, I want to look, we need to examine this more. People bring so much of their own thing, always, and their own energy and their own chemistry and their own ideas and their own cleverness.
I guess a parallel in the restaurant is that we change the menu for every meal. So you might think, it's actually a really grey day today, and so let's do some more comforting food than we might have done. Or, who's my team working? So I know that person isn't great on grilling, so maybe we'll put the simpler things to grill on the grill. And you're sort of looking at each person's abilities and what you feel and how many people are coming, and then of course you walk in, and then you have the sea bass didn't come in today, so we only have 2 fish, but we can use something we were going to start with. So there's a constant, it is challenging what we're doing, trying to work in that way. If we knew we had a set menu every day, you would come in and it would all be done, and we'd probably make more money. But this is the way we've rolled for the first day. It's very much what you're saying of the parallel of making a movie and making a lunch.
Definitely. And I think, what you're describing sounds so exciting. But I can imagine that for lots of people that would instill dread in them. Because it's so, it's kind of improvising, isn't it? And it's having the faith in your team. And it's why I think people come here again and again. And I just can't imagine, because I'm such a nosy person, the things that must be witnessed here, the proposals and the breakups and the tense conversations and the silent. Fascinating.
Well, it's dramatic. There's a lot of drama, and I think that's why probably actors loved working in restaurants. Do you think that growing up in your early life, do you think this was kind of also a sense of preparation or interest, or how did this happen?
I think I'm just very lucky. I think the first thing I would say that is the bit of luck is that my family really loves me and I really love them. Yeah. And so just to grow up in a household where you all really, really love each other is, as I grow older, it's just very lucky. And so that's such a grounding for anything because you feel like you can do something. Yeah. And so there was that side of things. But also my mother is a writer, my father is a jewellery designer, although he's sort of more than that, I would say. He sort of makes very specific individual one-off pieces, sort of magic box pieces, kind of strange things actually. Yeah. And my mother, she worked for years as a photographer's agent and now as a writer, novelist, and latterly a screenwriter. Her first film's just been made. The luck of having parents who live in London, so you can live in London to go to auditions when you're young. There's an enormous amount of sort of, I think, privilege obviously attached to all of that stuff, which I don't take for granted and I'm very aware of. But yeah, I think I've always admired that they work very, very hard, both of them too. They worked all day, both of them, at their jobs, and then they would be out every night, meeting people, going out to things.
So what was food like? Who cooked?
Who cooked? Mum. Mm-hmm. But I think she would say Marks and Spencer's. Mm-hmm. I would say the main food that we had growing up was a very specific oven-ready tagliatelle with ham and mushroom in a sort of creamy sauce from M&S that I think was 90% of what we ate growing up. And actually, Mum's an amazing cook, but she just, you know, she just worked. She worked. We were very much a ready meal family, and I think that's... I'm still quite comfort foodie. But then stuff like when we went to... We grew up in Herefordshire. Every Friday night we'd go up and we'd have fish and chips from the chip shop in Hereford. And that's the thing I remember most, is the feeling of the fish and chips on my lap.
What was that feeling like? Was it?
Well, it's hot. It's really hot, and it smells like hot paper and vinegar, and it's just the best. And it's just seeing if you can wait. Yeah. It's like a game of chicken. See if you can wait till you get home, and just like you can't.
Yeah, yeah. So you would eat it in the car, and
it would be eaten in the car. Yeah, and it was great.
And would they take you to restaurants? Did you go to restaurants as?
We did.
Kids?
We did. We went to somewhere in Gloucester Road called the Texas Lone Star.
Oh, I remember that.
Do you remember the Texas Lone Star?
Yeah, I do remember.
And they had pinball machines, and I guess it was kind of like Americana themed. Yeah. And they did the most delicious thing you've ever tasted in your life, which is called a Texas pup. And it's a Frankfurter, slit open, cheddar cheese inside it, wrapped up in a hard taco. And so it's like a crunchy... hot dog with cheese, and it's got to be 1 billion calories, and it's not something that would grace the plate here. I can still taste it, and me and my sister still talk about the Texas pup.
I like a hot dog. I was in New York last week, and I was going to I was starving because I hadn't had lunch, and took a walk down Fifth Avenue. There's a hot dog stand, and I thought, I'm just going to have a hot dog, because I have Italian food every day of my life, and there's something about being in New York. It was really good, but I just went for the classic hot dog and mustard, and it was so good.
In the freezing cold in New York.
Yeah, freezing.
Just heaven.
But when they entertained, were you the kid who was brought down to say hello, or were you in your room, or did you kind of...
I made myself that kid.
I bet you
I
did.
was very much slowly descending the staircase in a kind of wistful manner until somebody paid me attention. Yeah. Like, I don't sleep very well, so I never slept when I was a child. And I could hear that there was fun downstairs. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. And this is the 90s, really, when I was little. So Mum and Dad, actually, they very rarely had people over. They were more out.
Go out. Yeah.
But when they did have people over, it was absolutely kind of ab-fab territory. You know. Just ciggies on the go, everyone having a laugh. And, you know, it was a different time. It was kind of glorious.
So then did you go to boarding school? At what age was that?
Went to boarding school at 13.
Was that a shock?
It actually was, I think, probably a very good idea. Mm-hmm. I think I would have gone quite quickly off the rails in London. I think we all, I think even I knew that, even as a child. So even though I was homesick, and I did, do love my family, and as an insomniac at boarding school, it's quite lonely being in a room full of people awake when everyone's asleep. I think it was probably a more wholesome scenario than if I'd stayed in London.
And do you remember the food in boarding school?
I do. It was fine. It was a lot of toast. Okay. And I love toast. Yeah, and again, I'd been brought up on the ready meal, so I was just delighted. If there were chips for every meal, and so I mostly grew up on carbohydrates. Yeah. Which was absolutely fine by me. It was only when I hit 18 and realised you actually can't eat 5,000 calories worth of carbs every day.
I don't know.
I was like, oh
good,
no, this diet isn't sustainable.
Now, I've just come back from New York, this whirlwind tour of everywhere. I was in San Francisco and Las Vegas, and with people and kids. And now this whole thing is going back to high protein in a big way. I mean, that young people, especially in San Francisco, the techie guys are all on, it's like, protein again.
What were you doing on your tour in America?
Oh, me. I saw my brother, who sends his love to you.
Can we actually just
my brother
talk about your brother?
Is in love with you.
I'm in love with your brother.
Yeah. And you met through...
So when we were doing the kind of award season push for a movie, you do all of these actually really wonderful things with the DGA, so the Directors Guild of America, and the WGA, so you get to meet loads of really interesting, cool people. Yeah. And one of these screenings afterwards... I met your brother, Michael, and somebody said, this is Michael, and he's a writer, and he wrote this and this and this and The Jerk and this, and I was like, whoa, and I was like, whoa, what? Sorry, I'm so sorry. No, because The Jerk is my favourite film by such a huge measure that I couldn't, and then I just like attached myself to him like a limpet, because he's just the coolest.
Yes.
I had no idea he was your brother, just...
He's my brother.
But it seems
he's a really good writer. Yeah,
he's an incredible writer, but the fact that, it's always so fascinating when in a family you have such talented people, but in such wildly different ways.
Yeah. Well,
what was your upbringing like?
I like the way you're interviewing me. This is like,
but I really want to know. Sorry.
No, it's good. My father was always encouraged us, but then my brother was an actor and a writer, was a stand-up and in this career, and then my sister is an artist, and I think they really had hopes for me that, I'd be a doctor or a lawyer, but they encouraged us all. And I think, like you, I always say, I was really taken by what you said about having been loved. So that gives you the courage and the interest. But when you have a podcast, you can come and interview me about that. But I think I did. And so you were working in LA. Did you ever live in LA?
Yeah, we lived there for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then our son was born there, and then COVID happened.
Yeah. Okay.
And with a young baby, we just wanted to be near our families, But I think we'd have stayed there longer, because I love it.
Love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the energy. I mean, I love England as well. I mean, the kind of the thing of the determination, and the kind of can do, and everyone I don't know. I think it's very exciting over there.
Did you like the food? Did you go out?
Yeah, I love the food.
Yeah.
I love the food. The food's amazing in LA.
Yeah. In LA is a very food culture. Yeah.
Really foodie culture. Yeah. And, it's just people want to talk.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk, everyone you speak to is interesting. They've come from somewhere interesting and they're doing something interesting. And I think here, people don't love to have a chat as much. I mean, they do once you kind of, if you're persistent, but here we're very formal. And I really want to talk to people a lot.
Yeah.
So I can, my husband always laughs because there's often a moment when I'm sort of trying to get something going with someone and they just don't want to engage, and he's like, "Oh, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
It didn't work."
I agree. The recipe, which you chose, spaghetti bottarga, which I thought was so interesting that you chose that.
Do you know what? I don't know that I've ever had it. I just wanted it.
Oh, well, and it's a really delicious thing to want.
Okay, spaghetti with bottarga for 6. Ingredients: 250 grams of spaghetti, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 garlic cloves peeled, 50 grams of fresh flat leaf parsley, finely chopped, 1 dried red chili crumbled, 100 grams of bottarga coarsely grated, and the juice of 1 lemon. Cook the pasta in a generous amount of boiling salted water. Heat the olive oil in a separate saucepan. Fry the garlic with the parsley and chili for a few seconds. Add the drained pasta and toss well. Stir in most of the bottarga and lemon juice. Serve immediately with the remaining bottarga on top. So I wouldn't obviously change anything about this.
Okay.
Because you're Ruthie Rogers and I'm not psycho. But I would say that I know that it's bad form to have parmesan.
Yeah.
With fish pasta.
Well, there are ways you can break the rule. You can break a rule.
Have parmesan.
There you go.
Because nothing can ever be salty enough.
Yeah. And last question: if you did need food for comfort, just to make you feel better, would it be that cheese sandwich or that fish and chips or the memory of your mother's tag or something different? Is there something you'd reach for?
I think that the best thing I've ever eaten is the first cookie that my kids made.
Oh.
So I think...
What was it?
It was, let's be honest, it was shit.
Okay.
Look, come on. It was a sort of shortbread and it was decorated with a lot of multicoloured gloop.
Yeah.
But I think they would have been 5 and 3. And just the fact that they'd done it, frankly. And I just thought, well, that's got to be the best thing I've ever eaten. Really.
And the best memory.
And just the best, yeah. So that would be it. I'd have that cookie.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ruthie's Table 4 was produced by Alex Bell, Robbie Hamilton and Zad Rogers, with Andrew Sang and Bella Salini. This has been an Atomised production for iHeart Media.